Hi, folks. Hope you're well. And wow, you're looking good. Hey, so a few months ago, I was walking on the street and I found this pack of chips. Um, it was open and tossed down on the ground, and a few chips had been eaten. And I checked the chips that remained, and I thought they looked clean and okay. So I pick them up to take them with me and eat them. I'm not advising you to do that. A lot of people wouldn't do that. I get it, um, but I'm okay with that. Um, when I ate a chip out of this bag, what I discovered it was is super hot, like a chili heat, like curdling your mouth when you eat it. You can see it's the haunted ghost pepper chips. Oh, while I'm thinking of it, if I say something wrong in the video, I'll write in the description under the video those words. And I'm not sure, I think as you watch the video, they'll be on your left or in the middle. Or if I want to add something, I'll write it there or change something. I don't know what, but possibly check the words. Um, but I'll do my best to get it said correctly. Um, the ghost pepper is a very hot pepper. At one time, it was the world record, the hottest pepper in the world. Subsequently, it's not because people are breeding peppers, ex specialists. I think just to be super hot. It's probably fun for them. But anyway, the ghost pepper is still an extremely hot chip. It's still quite high on the list, the world list. And so I didn't want to throw them away. I could see what happened. Someone bought them, ate a few of them, they were too hot, and they just tossed it down. But the question was how to eat them and bear them and even get some pleasure out of them. So my solution was that I took milk and a funnel, which I put in the nozzle of the milk bunk. And then I took the chips, stuck my hand in, and I crumbled them into the milk. I didn't think to make this video at the time I was doing it, but I think that's pretty easy to imagine me doing it. And then, and I happened to crumble the chips all at one time. I mean, subsequently, I realized I could have done just a portion of the chips and maybe, a fourth of the chips or a third of the chips and maybe done some more later. And then I took the funnel out and I put the lid on the milk. I forgot to get a lid. Anyway, I put the lid on the milk and I shook it up. And kind of as I drank the milk, the chips sat in there. Um, the heat off the chip bits. I shouldn't say the chips sat in there. I should say the chip bits sat in there. And the heat would come off into the milk and sort of get diluted. And it did become bearable, um, and kind of fun to eat, to drink. Um, now I'm gonna, it's kind of a shame. The story becomes a little more complicated. What happened is at the same time I found a container of a super hot paste. It's a red paste I think you can get in Asian restaurants here in Southern California. And I added that to the milk too. Um, I think that the chip bits diluted the way they were would have been really quite edible. Not too hot at all. Um, I think what happens though, is that if you turn the milk back and get a mouthful of milk with some chip bits, you may chew those chip bits. So I think what happens is the outside of the chip bits sort of floats out into the milk, and then the milk becomes somewhat hot and spicy. I think bearably so, though. It's now bearable. It's not super hot like it was in the chips. I think though the core of the chip bit probably stays hotter. And when you bite in the chip bits, sometimes it can be kind of hot. In that case, I would just spit those chip bits back in the milk that I had bitten. I probably would have bitten them in half. And then where I bit them, that will go out into the milk too. Grad More or less, maybe, and then I can drink them later, and now they're half a chip bit, and they're probably less spicy. Sooner or later, all the chip bits get eaten, um, and the heat level is bearable. Now I had at the same time I had gotten this super hot paste, maybe not a great deal, probably a tablespoonful and a half or something like that, and I had put that in the milk too. That I also use the funnel, but I had to push it down with a stick because it's paste. It kind of sticks to the funnel when you put it in there. Um, and for that reason, I didn't get a really clear test because the milk I was drinking had both the chip bits and that super hot red paste. So it was hotter. I think the milk was pretty hot. It was more bearable than I think either paste or chip bits by themselves. Quite a bit more bearable. It was drinkable. I think the chip bits by themselves would have been very bearable, not super, not even, not close to super hot. With the paste added, it was pretty hot. Certainly better than the chips by themselves or the paste by itself. Uh, as I drank that milk, I would add some fresh milk in there. It wasn't unbearably hot, but it was quite hot. I would add some fresh milk with no chili peppers stuff in it, and that would dilute the hot milk even more. Eventually, it all got drunk. It was all fairly pleasurable, and the food wasn't wasted. I think it worked out pretty well. So I'm sharing it with you. If you ever have something too hot, you can have this as an option. And I don't know that it would have to be milk. You could maybe put it, if you had orange, anything, any fluid, even water. I think if you put the hot thing in the water and it got diluted, I think it'll become more bearable and less concentrated heat. Um, it might with a food beverage like milk or orange juice, it might dissipate the heat more than water because your mouth notices the food and doesn't know. I'm not sure why. It feels like it might be a little hotter in water, but that might be wrong. Putting in water might dilute that heat just as much. So uh, I'm not sure what else to say about it. So I hope it becomes useful to you sometime. Psychologically, it's nice not to waste. Uh, this pepper, this ghost pepper that these chips are made of now is, well, I think they measure the heat in peppers by Scoville heat units or SHUs. I think the ghost pepper has 1 million SHUs, but the hottest pepper in the world, I think, has 2.5 million. So these specially bred hot peppers have gotten really hot. But Oh, even the hottest pepper of all is called Pepper X. That's its actual name. The guy who bred it named it that. I think I think using this should be a separate video. If I ever get a hot pepper, not something flavored with the hot pepper, but the actual pepper, I think you could use this idea to eat the actual pepper, including the pepper X, and get it eaten without too much misery. Um, but that's another video, and there's some details there of how not only putting in the milk, but how you handle it in your mouth. But um, for these hot, some of these hot substances, this idea of putting in fluid worked for me. If you like the content, rate, subscribe, share, etc. It'll help the video get shown in a better focus or a better resolution by YouTube. And those comments and such are very nice for any creator. Stimulating, they stimulate the mind.